What is up, family? You are listening to Living Beyond the Dream podcast, where we're having practical conversations. Take the dreams you have for your church and yourself and turn it into a reality. My name is Mike, joined by my man Tyler. And I just want to say thank you again for listening week in and week out, spending just a little bit of time with us. Thank you for rating it and reviewing it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing it. It really does mean the world to us. We take our time, but we know your time's way more precious than ours. And the fact that you're spending this moment with us, trying to grow with us and helping other people, that's all we want to do is help people. Thank you so much. And these last week and this week, we're breaking out some nuts and bolts things, especially in the church. So what are we talking about today?
Yeah, this has been a huge one for us. We're talking about calendar planning, but planning in advance.
Come on.
That's what we're doing. So I'm going to start with a quote from Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, God's quarterback.
It's pretty good, actually. He says, for me, it's about preparation, and the more prepared I can be each week, the less pressure I feel, and the more confident that I am. As your confidence grows, it's only natural that the pressure you feel diminishes.
Preach it, Reverend Rodgers. Preach it.
I think every leader would love to feel a little less pressure.
Come on.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So this is super applicable to us because just like football, our services come weekly. There's always another one coming. So just to get us started on this, we'll talk about the hows in a little bit. But Mike, can you just give us a why? Why is it important to plan in advance?
You're right. Sunday comes every week. You finished one weekend. 6 more days later, you got to do it all over again. And that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
There's a couple things I want to talk about real quick in the why.
Yeah.
First off, I get hit with this a lot. Well, you must not have the Holy Spirit flowing through your service. Because if you have to plan a year in advance, then you don't have the Spirit. You're just a machine. You're just a business. You're stale and bland. And here's what I want to say.
Say it.
Are you telling me that the divine Holy Spirit can only work 1 or 2 days before your service?
Woo.
Are you telling me that the God, the Creator, the God that is with us everywhere we go, cannot speak to us months in advance when we prayerfully go into plan for a year and say, what do you want this year to be? And the theme, and how do you want to move? You're telling me we're going to limit the Spirit that we say cannot be limited?
Come on.
It's not true.
Yeah.
Secondly, God is a God of order, and God is a God of planning, and God is a God of excellence. Read the Bible.
Yeah.
Even Paul sat down in the Bible, in the New Testament, and said, let me tell you exactly how a church service run, and gives you a play-by-play on how a church service run.
Yeah.
Because structure is a beautiful thing when it's done with the right heart.
Yeah.
Now, you can plan and then not be done with the right heart. You can plan and not ever prayerfully do it. And that, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but you can prayerfully do it.
Yeah.
Here's another reason why you need to plan. Here's what I found. Secondly, we get out of touch with our people.
Yeah.
We don't really know what they're going through, what they're struggling. And when you plan what you're sitting there saying, okay, what are the areas I feel like we really need to hit on?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be strategic with it and prepare so I can be able to feed and edify and equip our people with what they need to be equipped with. And when you do that as a whole, you get a look at the areas and you get to see how are they going to flow together? Where do they fit? What am I missing? If you're winging it week in and week out, you're going to be more on your preferences than on the needs of the community as a whole.
Yeah.
When you plan strategically like that, it makes you realize where can I hit and help and benefit people.
Yeah.
Thirdly, and this is a sad statistic and sad fact, people don't go to church every week anymore.
Yeah.
You go once a week, once every 6 weeks, you think that's a normal attendance now for most people.
Yeah.
I have people I haven't seen in weeks. 6 weeks. They'll see me in store. Pastor Mike, right? I'm their pastor.
Yeah.
They not like back in the day, you ain't seen somebody for 6 weeks. They're avoiding you.
Yeah.
Because they went to a new church.
Right.
But nowadays, it's like, no, like that. You're still their church. They just don't go. And by doing this with strategic calendar planning, you can start realizing I need to strategically place things in the calendar that gets people back and gets them back in the rhythm of going to church and being active in church, because life will get busy and you will become an afterthought. And that's an unfortunate. It's not right. I'm not saying it's good, but those are the cards we're dealt with now in the church. And we got to be strategic saying, hey, Let's get them back and engaged.
Yeah.
And then once we do, we can get them to stick and get them consistent. So those are some of the realities of why.
That's good. In regards to Bloom, did you always plan your year in advance, or what was the turning point for you on that?
I pretty much have. I mean, in the early days, I didn't as strategically, but I have pretty much from day one. I've always kind of wanted to know where we were going.
Yeah. I've
always, especially as a speaker, I take my craft very seriously, and I want to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I get to honor the people every week by giving them the best message I can give them.
Yeah.
And that means I need to be prepared of where we're going and where we're going next. And if I'm scrambling to figure out where we're going, then I'm going to not be prepared. And then I'm going to spend more time trying to think about what I'm going to speak on than actually developing what I'm going to speak on.
Yeah.
So then they get something that's not actually more thought out and more strategic and delivered with an excellence that can actually connect with them. So I've always wanted to, on my end, make sure I can be as equipped as possible so I can give and honor our people with the best message possible.
Yeah.
So that's important for me, and it always has been from day one.
That's awesome. So you actually plan out your sermon series as just 100%. A year in advance.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I do. I plan them out a year in advance. Now, if I feel like the Holy Spirit's leading me to drop something or move something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, literally, we're going into a sermon series at the time of this recording. Was not on our yearly calendar meeting, but I felt like God said, this is the series I want you to do. And so he told me this a month ago, so I changed it. I mean, so that's what I mean, I'm not saying that once you've locked it in, it's set in stone. It's not the 10 Commandments carved into the stone tablets. So there is some wiggle room, but it gives you an idea, and that doesn't happen always.
Yeah.
But it does give me room to let the Holy Spirit move if I do need him to move.
Yeah.
Or not do I need him? I always need him to move if he tells me to move.
Right. Yeah. That's good. How would you say you get everyone on the same page, like your staff and everything like that in regards to planning? I mean, do you do anything?
We do a retreat every year. And what we do with that retreat is we do ours in fall, and we just get together and we rent a big house.
Yeah.
And we eat food and we just hang out for days.
Yeah.
We do this during the school year. So during the days, we're planning all day long, but then at night, the kids come and they all get to hang out, and it's a family time. It's a bonding experience. It's a fun time. But we get the big whiteboards out, and we just start. And first thing we do is we start listing off sermon series ideas. They all are coming prepared with some ideas, too, what they think topics and things we need to talk about. I've got a list of things that I've already been praying about.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we line them all on the table. Mm-hmm. And then we have... okay, well, and I really feel like this would fit in this month and that month. And we go through, and then we go through all the events and things like that and the big services. So what we're trying to do is get us all camaraderie and all thinking the same. And people are more encouraged when they get to be there.
Yeah.
And I get to hear a lot of ideas. No, I don't think that's a good series. Or, yeah, that's kind of a weird concept. Or break it down for me because I'm not really understanding it. And it allows me to break it down a little bit more in my mind and really understand what we're doing.
Yeah. Even just taking away the risk, having all those brains in the same room of a conflict. Like, oh, we've got a big worship night scheduled. Wait, kids has one too. Yes. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be huge.
Well, it gets everybody on the same page. We're not overcomplicating it. We're not over-bogging down our calendar. Last thing we want is just to be busy for the sake of being busy.
Yeah.
My job is not to stack people's calendar filled with events to come to my church with.
Yeah.
My job is to place things that are going to be beneficial and spiritually enhancing in their lives.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to over bog down a calendar with too much things that's just making people busy, exhausted. Their families are falling apart, and they end up just becoming a burden to go to church.
Yeah.
We want to create things that are edifying.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, you can look at the calendar together and realize we're a little lopsided here. We're a little too crazy there. Man, we're really vacant here. Maybe we need to think about what's missing here.
Yeah.
And that allows us together to make sure the flow's healthy and all on one page.
Yeah. So to unpack that a little bit more, like how detailed are you with your planning in this? Like how far do you go into those retreats when you put something on the calendar? Or is it more like a placeholder of like, hey, we want to do a worship night, but then when we're 90 days out, we'll actually dig in deep on how it's going to run? Or
yeah, I mean, it is in the gist of what we want. It's not necessarily exactly always what I'm going to talk about if it's a special event like that.
Yeah.
Or even like Easter and things like that. I don't know sometimes going into a planning meeting what the Easter service is going to look like the next year.
Yeah.
So what we do is we do have some generalization there. Some of the things are more specific with the sermon series and things of that nature. I will kind of have an idea. I think this should be a 4-week or 6-week sermon series, things of that nature, based on the amount of topics I want to cover in those areas. Now, worship nights and things of that nature, we try not to do a whole lot of worship nights. We want them to be special. So when we place those on the calendar, they do have a point to them.
Yeah.
They're not just the sake of just having a worship night. We want to be pointed and very intentional with that time, so that when people come, they really want to be there, because it's something that's very intentional and something that enhances their life. So every time we have them, they're really excited about being a part of something like that.
Yeah.
So those are very strategically planned out and placed in very specific ways. There are times, though, where we're like, hey, we know we have 21 days of prayer. These times, we don't necessarily know what the theme will be during the 21 days of prayer, but we know we carve out this time for 21 days of prayer. As we get closer to it, we really start figuring out what the theme is going to be for that. We know Easter comes. We know Father's Day, Mother's Day, all these things come. We don't necessarily know what those events are going to look like at the time.
Yeah.
But we know we're carving that time out, and we got to be strategic. And then when we're getting about a couple of months before those events, we're really carving out the specifics and the details about them. But they're already on the calendar, alerting us and letting us know.
It's good.
They're coming up.
Yeah, that's really good. What would you say this has done to your budget planning? I mean, how has it impacted that?
Well, it's everything. How can you plan for something you don't know exists?
Yeah.
So what you're doing is now you know we have these events coming up. And what we do is we do a lot of 90-day reviews, 90 days going ahead. Not 90 days in back, but ahead when it comes to budgets.
Yeah.
So we get to quarterly go, these are the big events coming up. And then these are where we're making sure financially we're looking at. And they're already on the calendar, allows us to be able to know and project financially.
Yeah.
We need to shift a little bit more money, because at the movies cost more money than a traditional sermon series.
Yeah.
So we know in this quarter we got to deal with 4 weeks of at the movies. And there's just a lot of sets and a lot of popcorn and soda and all that being bought. So we shift financially where we go based on quarters, where there's other quarters where we're like, hey, we don't have any big events going. We can shift a little bit more money into the departments themselves or facility care. So that allows us to be able to understand where that money goes financially based on the calendar that we're placed in projection for.
That's good. This is huge. I mean, this is the world that I live in, and I think that you hear a lot of, that mom and pop mentality of like you go to the bookkeeper, hey, I need X amount of money for this event, and you're in that reaction instead of a proactive budgetary mindset. And there is nothing that takes the pressure off more than looking at your 90 days and realizing, okay, I need to stow away for this, and this. And then
it'll make your bookkeeper, your CPA, and your admin, executive admin, very, very happy that you're planning.
Yeah.
Nothing makes them more nervous than you just shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
But when they realize you have a plan in place, they have a lot more confidence in you as a leader.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to do. Because they're tightwads, and they will try to penny pinch everywhere they can, because that's just the nature of their money crunchers. That's what you guys do. But when they realize that you have a plan, they're much more willing to be able to be behind that.
Yeah.
If you're just showing up saying, give me some money, or we got to spend this, oh, I forgot about this, they're going to be like, dude, you can't be doing this.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, trustees going to be knocking on your door going, why my spreadsheets look like this?
Yeah.
Why is the budget looking like this? So when you have a plan, you're getting everybody on the same page. And you need to be strategic. Listen to me. Your church is not an ATM.
Yeah.
You don't just get to go pull money whenever you want.
Yeah.
You're right. You need to have strategic planning with the finances.
Yep.
So I'm sorry if I called you a tightwad.
Story of my life. No. In closing, though, just tell the leader that wants to take this step how to do it.
Get your people in a room and get your calendar out.
Just do it.
Go 1 month at a time.
Yeah.
What do you guys have going on this month? What do you have going on this month? What do you have going on this month? And you break it down. Tell them you're doing a calendar planning so they can go ahead and start putting their calendars together prior to it and get it going.
Yeah.
Do not let the fear of coming up with a whole year of sermons scare you.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier once the ball gets rolling. It gets rolling and you get momentum and it starts popping. But it's going to take so much pressure off you in the long run.
Yeah.
And you can be more strategic and make sure those special services are done with excellence because you're ready for them and you're planning for them.
Yeah. So good. Next week is going to be a super powerful topic, again with the nuts and bolts, but we're diving into how to personally reach out to your volunteers weekly.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for hitting us up again this week. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know what you're waiting on. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you ring and ding that bell. Share this to anybody that you think will be beneficial to. And until next time, pray God's peace.